Just days after the controversial bill SOPA was shot down on the Hill, the U.S. government took down the popular mega hosting site Mega Upload, run by New Zealander Kim Dotcom. Dotcom's home was raided and he was arrested. However, New Zealand courts have ruled that the raid was invalid and search warrants were too vague. Now a hearing has begun in the U.S. to determine the legality of seizing millions of data from users of the site. Joining me now is Andrew Blake, RT's web producer.
Hey, Abby.
Hey, Andrew. So tell us a little bit about the hearing that just happened today.
Yeah, actually, the hearing is just finishing up right now. Reports are just coming in right across the river in Alexandria. They were talking to attorneys for Kim Dotcom and Mega Upload to see how this whole thing is going to progress if it goes out of New Zealand and into the U.S. But we got to backtrack a couple of days, really. There was a big victory for Mega Upload and its users back on Thursday when a judge in New Zealand said that the authorities kind of botched this entire thing. Back January 20th, I believe, is when the authorities came in. They raided Kim Dotcom's mansion. They seized millions and billions of bytes and took all these hard drives and computers, took all this crap, brought it with them, and the judge the other day said, you really screwed that up, guys. You misused the warrants. They were too broad, but they were also too vague. You screwed up everything. And the way this is going to impact the rest of the whole thing is that in New Zealand, you can't extradite someone out of New Zealand to the US unless they're punishable by a jail sentence in both countries. Now, if this judge in New Zealand, sticks with her guns and says, yeah, that didn't work, guys, sorry, Kim Dotcom has no reason to go to jail in New Zealand. The court agrees. That's the case, there is no extradition. Of course, the US might, pull some wacky maneuver out of their sleeve, but I guess we'll have to see.
So is this just a botched, raid, pretty much?
Oh yeah, entirely.
Yeah.
I mean, Hollywood, the Motion Picture Association of America had been asking the FBI to do something about this for at least a year. We know going back to at least January 2011, they had been urging the FBI to take down Mega Upload and other websites who they say are conspiring to dupe the business
Why did
out
they
of.
take a considerable amount of time to really prepare and build their case and get the proper, legal warrants
And then screw it all up? Is that what you're going to ask? I don't know. That's a very good question. You would think that if you were the FBI, you would know what you were doing. That being said, I'm sure my file just got another inch thicker. But yeah, it's a really good question. They had a year, more than a year, to put this together. Went into his house, they took everything, and it's been 5 months now since this raid, more than 5 months, and it's gone nowhere. Kim Dotcom is hanging out at his house, his mansion, with his kids and his video games. Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, hung out with him the other day. They're friends now. There's a report online. They're emailing each other back and forth.
Nice.
They're like BFFs. And Kim Dotcom is now, he's on Twitter. He's got, I'm following him on Instagram.
New Zealand ain't too shabby of a place to be. Also,
no, it'd be fine with me. I'd rather be
Go to
there.
the Lord of the Rings forest, hang out.
Yeah, and that guy seems like he knows how to party too. You see those guns he has, and obviously he's a smart guy. It's been 5 months, and the FBI wants him more or less dead. And look at him, he's just hanging out. It doesn't hurt that the FBI kind of screwed up everything. But that's kind of what the judge in New Zealand said this week. FBI obviously asked Australian authorities to carry out this raid. Australian authorities carried it out, but they did not do it how they should have done it. It's kind of an error on both parts, but because it landed on the Australian authorities, there's nothing the FBI can do. And one of the big arguments here is that the US has no reason to go in there and shut down this site. Mega Upload does not have any offices in the US. No one that works at Mega Upload's headquarters work in the US. The company was based out of Hong Kong. Kim Dotcom is from Germany, living in New Zealand. Obviously it sounds like it's a bit sketchy. No one's going to debate that. But
so is it really just the lobbying from this country to pressure the government to really overstep?
Oh my God, yeah. And
power?
The Motion Picture Association of America, the MPAA, them and the RIAA, the Recording Industry Association of America, have been lobbying against any sort of websites where you're going to be able to share copywritten material or any material since the mid-90s. And we were talking last week on RT about the Digital Millennium Copyright Act going back to the Clinton administration. And what happens underneath there is there's a safe harbor provision that says if you own a website and someone puts material on it that shouldn't be there, just take it down. Someone's going to complain, and then you follow through. And Mega Upload has said, we did this for you. We did this for American authorities, even though we didn't have to. We did this time and time and time again. And the FBI still went in there, took all their servers, and now people have lost millions and millions of files. Mega Upload was having 50 million people log on every single day. And those people, some of them may or may not have had illegal material that they shouldn't have been sharing online. Other people had personal photos, videos, documents. That's why the Electronic Frontier Foundation is so adamantly opposed to this whole raid. They're representing someone right now who's lost a lot of work because the FBI took all this stuff and are now just sitting on it. And it's been 5 months now. And luckily for Mega Upload, Kim.com, and the users of the site, it's been a very good week for them both in New Zealand and in the US. So, it's been 5 months already. Nothing's really come out of this, but it seems like things are really starting to pick up now, at least, and it might have a happy ending. It might. I'm being optimistic. But.
What about, this happened just days after SOPA was shut down on the Hill. It was almost like the government was just saying, we don't care. We're going to do this anyway. They even shut down TV Shack, which just links to material. It doesn't even host anything copyrighted.
And after this happened, actually, a bunch of sites, within days of this January 20th raid, other websites like Mega Upload voluntarily took themselves off the web because they just didn't want to deal with this. They didn't want to have to fight to get their stuff back. There was another case earlier this year where lobbyists managed to convince authorities in the US to take a website offline because they were alleging that they were sharing copyrighted material. Music Blog went down for a year. There were no charges, ever. Nothing happened. And then some guy just lost his website. He couldn't use his URL that he was paying for. He couldn't write what he wanted to. And he was saying it was a First Amendment thing. I want to be able to write something, and now I can't because you have charges that don't exist. And MPAA and the RIA, they've long gone after people just assuming, assumptions. And yeah, so it's really nothing new. But under these things like the safe harbor provision of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, as long as you follow the rules, things should be okay. But if you have a lot of money and you have a lot of influence in Washington, we know what that can get you.
So, what about all the different people, like you said, there's different stratas of Mega Upload users who weren't doing anything that was legal.
They're all screwed. Yeah.
They're all screwed.
Yeah,
and what's going to happen to all their material? So this fight right now in Washington from the EFF representing is a third party who just wants their data back.
Yeah.
And what do you think about, should the government be responsible for giving these people's data?
Well, the government should be responsible for giving it back. The thing is, the government shouldn't have had it to begin with. Right. Think about it. The FBI went and said, "Hi, website, we don't like what you're doing. Now, we can't exactly shut you down, but we're going to anyways." They went to a foreign government. They asked them to go in, steal this guy's stuff, take it, hold on to it, just sit on it, wait a couple of months, make us some copies, give it back to us. And it's been half a year. Nothing's happened. Nothing has happened at all with this. So the government should at least, an apology would be nice. But in the meantime, yes, they're sitting on all of this data, and no one knows if they're going to get it back. But this week we've seen a couple of victories in New Zealand and the U.S. Things are shaping up to be a bit more on the positive side. But as of right now, yeah, everyone is screwed.
It'd be a pretty bad move. It was a horrible move for the government, but then now they're going to have to save face and be like, we really messed up.
They kind of have to.
I don't know
if they're going to.
When does the government ever,
good question.
go back on something horrible that they did?
I was actually, I tried to log on a couple of days ago. It's weird, I write about this stuff all the time. I never really think about it. And a friend of mine passed away, and I had stored some of his music on Mega Upload. And, he died last month. I wanted to share this music with my friends. And I couldn't, because the FBI has that music that we recorded in a radio station in Buffalo, New York, in a basement. They have these really, really, really bad MP3s sitting on a server somewhere in Washington, and I'm never going to get it back at this point. So a lot of people use these services like Mega Upload for legitimate reasons, and yeah, they're all screwed right now. So hopefully today we're going to hear more about the ruling as the day progresses. Like I said, it just finished in Eastern District Court in Virginia. But it's taken half a year, but things are starting to materialize.
Thank you so much for bringing up the update, Andrew. That was Andrew Blake, RT Web producer.